Hello, everybody. Thanks for attending another Meridian webinar on our PMK unit. This is Chris Gilder, founder CEO of Meridian. We have Melissa Harwood running the show for us again, Paul Burden, our director of software, Dominic Atbill, our conceptual design engineer, lead engineer, and we may have a couple more arrive from Meridian shortly. But we will get started because we tend to run out of time with questions. We go through the presentation pretty quickly. You're probably familiar with the unit. If you've been to our product page on our website, there's a lot of information there, and we keep adding to that daily, adding more videos, more content on that page all the time as different questions pop up. So with that, Melissa, we'll get started. If you want to kick off the first slide. So a little bit about Meridian. Founded in '99, we're fully integrated manufacturer of self-service technology. We've been doing this for over 20 years. We have our software facility in Mississauga, Canada, from an acquisition we did in 2010 of King Products and Solutions, former competitor of ours. And so we obviously have that software in place and all the manufacturing. We moved down to North Carolina. In North Carolina, we have a 13-acre facility. Many of you may have been here already at one time or another. We have full metal fabrication on site, powder coat on site, all of our design engineers on site. We are a UL self-certified facility here. This device has not currently gone through that. It will be going through that, but it's not currently UL certified. Obviously, we do a lot of FCC, HIPAA compliance work here with self-service. This device is FCC and CE certified, and we have the paperwork available if needed. Go to the next slide. I'm going to try and go through this as quick as we can because we haven't got to all the questions on the last few webinars. So the PMK, Personnel Management Kiosk, is essentially for facial recognition and temperature checking. So this is not a medical device, not designed to be a medical device, and certainly not designed to replace a medical device, but surely, purely a guide to see if someone is running a fever, and if they are, obviously that's up to the company what the next step is. For us, for instance, they have to go to the HR department, they get a secondary check. We've only had one person that has had to do that in the last 4 to 5 weeks, verify that they did indeed have a temperature, and they were sent home for the day and for further evaluation. So the facial ID portion of this does not have to be used. That's a question that's popping up a lot. So this can be used as a temperature check only, and but it does have facial recognition. Temperature threshold alarms are configurable. Obviously, it's set out of the box, I think, at 99.3 or 100. I can't remember, 9900, somewhere around there, and is easily editable in the admin portion of the application. We have anodized aluminum finish pedestal, also have powder coat pedestals, and we do have a countertop configuration that we will launch into the channel shortly. Next slide. There's the pedestal and pedestal with graphics. We're not currently, for larger orders, i.e. 100 or above. We do have orders that are over that. We can do the graphics. We do have a graphic department in-house, typically for larger volume opportunities. We also have a graphic partner that we're working with for doing graphic installs and graphic production all throughout North America. So we'll also post that information on the site once that's all finalized. Okay, next one. The countertop, as I mentioned, this one, we're not sure if this is going to be offered with the battery option. We do have a lithium battery that's currently going through UL testing that will have about a 10 to 16 hour runtime. Not sure exactly how large the battery is at this stage, but it may be too tall to fit into here. But obviously the countertop, they all come with a 110 plug, as do the freestanding units to plug in a regular wall socket. All right, next page. So the software, a big part of this is what Paul and his team have been working on pretty much around the clock, is to obviously work on the software here. We are doing some integration, obviously, into our manage, which we'll touch on shortly. But for right now, it comes with the software included for temp recognition, facial recognition, you do have Wi-Fi or LAN connectivity. It does not need to be connected to anything to operate. It will function right out of the box as a temperature scanning device. And you can set up the facial recognition, register people at the device. You can do up to 30,000 people in each individual device. It does give voice prompts, prompting people to get closer if they're too far away for the scan. And if they've got a good temperature, it will say that. If it's a stranger, if you don't have stranger mode on, it will say that. If they don't have a mask on and you want the mask feature on, it will remind them to put a mask on as well. The temp variant's 0.5C, 0.9F. We're seeing more accurate readings than that through all of our testing, but that's what we have posted. Next slide. All right, so this is a board level solution. It's not a tablet. It is a screen with a board that we co-developed with one of our partners that's been used pretty extensively overseas. We have some additional I/O that we have on the board that we're not currently using. A lot of I/O on the device itself, which we'll get into in a little bit. This is an example of one of the administration screens for the temperature side of things. So you can turn that on or off if you wanted it for purely facial recognition. There is a calibration feature there as well. Different environments, you may want to calibrate that slightly. The alarm threshold there you see in C, we can now go obviously centigrade, Fahrenheit. That was an update we did recently. So you can show either or, and obviously depending where this gets deployed, you would pick accordingly. There is a fan option in the thermal sensor that you can turn on. Again, in a very hot environment, you may want to turn the fan on for that device. Just to check the readings that you're getting, you can make that determination. The mask features, stranger mode and stranger record, all available to toggle on or off. Mask obviously will remind someone to put a mask on if they don't have it on. Stranger mode, you can allow people to use this as a temperature check and go through a gate or turnstile that maybe is not into your database of facial recognition, and it will allow them to do that if you have the stranger mode on. And you can also choose to record the strangers in the system as well. All right, next page. A little example of the facial recognition portion. So again, when you're registering people, it is very, very quick. You can hook a keyboard and mouse up to this to make it even faster because it is a non-touch unit, obviously by design. So registering someone's very easy. Name, type, expiration date if you have a visitor. We had some people here working on equipment last week or the week before, and we put a 3-day date on there. So within 3 days, obviously they couldn't get into the facility, and obviously stores the picture as well. And that's all done currently on the device itself. Next slide. All right, so a lot of questions around this. I'm sure we'll get a lot of questions today. M0 Manage, obviously we've had this software, well, since the King acquisition, obviously a lot of updates, a lot of changes along the way. We do have a lot of our clients using this to manage their self-service deployments. A lot of features in this that you really don't need for this product line and the Windows product coming after this. So we're building a skimmed down version of this for the PMK systems. But it will still give you a lot of functionality that our full-blown M0 Manage does. And clients that have M0 Manage will be able to use their current Manage logins to manage these devices as well. So obviously you'll be able to use this as one database. You'll be able to import your list of employees, doing all the different reports. You can build custom reports if you just want to do daily logs of people in and out. If you want to do daily reports of people that were over temp, you can do that with this device. Obviously, it can also send out alerts if the unit is down, if it's lost network connectivity, if it's lost power, it will tell you this, and alerts can be sent out via email or SMS or text messages. And we are developing APIs on this as well around this, so this can be tied into many different software systems out there today. We currently do this with lots of self-service applications, as you can imagine, and we'll be doing the same thing for the PMK systems. Okay, next one. All right, so we'll get stuck into the questions.
All right. The first question asks, will the kiosk record all temperature scans and provide a report, either scheduled or on demand?
Yeah, so currently you need to go to the device to get your reports, and it will do that. We are adding some functionality to turn portions of that off. So Paul, I know in future releases, there's some of that you'll be able to toggle on or off, because some people, some clients don't want to keep records. Some clients want to keep records, but with no photographs. And there's a little bit of a, depending on where they're getting deployed, is really dictates what they want to have in those reports. But right now, you go to the unit, you hook up a memory stick to the USB, which is inside the column, and you can download those reports as a CSV file.
The next question asks, what is the cost per unit? What do software upgrades cost? And is there a software annual subscription cost?
So the retail price for the unit that you see, the freestanding unit, is $31.50, including the software, including packaging. There's no other fees involved. So obviously you get the software, it's a perpetual license for the software. If you do want future upgrades for the first year, any upgrades, any patches will be available at no charge. After that year, there'll be a nominal charge. We haven't set that yet, but you would simply download a new APK and update your unit that way. If you're using M0 Manage and have that subscription, currently that's $295 per year per device, quantity one. That's the MSRP on that number. Obviously, for our larger deployments, we have a lot of customers obviously deploying a lot of these units, as they do with normal self-service units. That price comes way down, and that pricing will be available soon. We haven't published that yet. Obviously, want to get all the integration finished before we do so. But the retail price is $295 per device per year.
The next question asks, are you able to retrieve a report of people who passed or failed without M0 Manage?
Yes, I think I answered that on the first one. Yeah, you just go to the unit and download the CSV file.
The next question asks, where can we find a copy of the end user license agreement?
Good question. I guess we should post that. Listen, I know there's a few changes for this device because a lot of it doesn't apply. But that will be available on the product release form. I know it's built into our order forms, our quote forms, but we need to make that available. Paul, is that available anywhere that you know of on the website?
No, it's just in our order forms, but I will get a link and coordinate posting that on the site.
Okay, thank you.
Next question asks, is this HIPAA and ACLU compliant?
No, so we've had long conversations with many groups around that, and that really depends on where these are getting implemented and working with your own teams for HIPAA compliance. We do an awful lot of medical solutions where we have the privacy filters on the screen, a lot of different things that we do with the data to protect, obviously with HIPAA compliance. We are looking into that, but right now it is up to the individual sites to obviously validate the system, ensure that it meets their criteria. We are doing some modifications for certain clients, as we have done in the past with self-service devices, but we need to take that right now on a case-by-case basis.
The next question asks, how far do you stand from the device?
1 to 3 feet, get a good reading. I mean, it can do a little closer or further away. It does prompt you to get into the zone, and there is an outline on the screen to kind of line your kind of head and shoulders into, but 1 to 3 feet, and it's about 1 to 3 seconds per person for the temperature and facial recognition scan.
Next question asks, how much storage capacity does the tablet have?
I got that one. Yeah, it's got 2 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of ROM. So that's the disk storage space. And 4 gigs are usable, and it stores approximately 1 gigabyte of entry data on the system. and the rest is used for the employee database storage if you use that feature.
The next question asks, once an employee or end user has been detected, how does it notify the company? Is it only through an alarm if they don't have M0 manage?
So I assume they're meaning if they're over temperature, there is an alarm on the unit, it can be turned off. It's quite loud. But obviously with M0 manage, you could get remote alerts, email alerts, text alerts, etc. But right now it's LEDs and an alarm on the unit itself.
The next question asks, if someone is coming from outdoors, do they need to stay inside for a few minutes prior to having their temperature read?
No, the body regulates pretty quickly, certainly not a few minutes. I mean, we're seeing a few seconds coming from, and we've done this actually walking out of our powder coat ovens to the device in early testing. The body temperature regulates pretty quickly. So while there may be a small transitional time from coming out from extreme cold or extreme heat, your core body temperature is pretty, it levels out pretty quickly.
The next question asks if this can be mounted outside.
No, it's not designed for outdoor use. We do have some clients using them temporarily outdoors in a full covered environment, but it is not designed for outdoor use. It's not a high bright screen. There's no kind of climate control built into this. We do a lot of outdoor solutions. This is not one of them.
Next question asks, in the event that the user requires warranty repair, how is that managed and where is it sent? Also, is there a freight cost to the end user?
Yeah, so the standard warranty there is, so it's freight in by the user, freight back to you by Meridian. That's our standard 1-year return to depot warranty. There are upgrades to that with on-site support, would depend on what service level agreement was signed. Again, people deploying a lot of these are buying what we call a parts pool, which is a few extra units to either have on site, have with us, have at different locations around the country, depending on how many sites they're going to. And then we do an SLA for next day, and in some cases 4-hour response time, much like you would buy with, you know, a business PC or business printer, etc.
The next question asks, if the kiosk is deployed without access control systems or guard in place, what logging is available for after the face analysis or temperature scans?
If it's not tied into anything, and right now, again, until we have the M0 manage turned on, you can tie this into hardware, meaning locks, turnstiles, gates, etc. There's relays, wide-band connectivity to the device with all of the inputs and outputs that it has. But it is recording, like we mentioned earlier, so you can go to the device and pull the report. But unless you're tying this into any hardware, the only thing it will do is give a green light and a pass, or a red light, obviously with no pass.
The next question asks if M0 Manage has the ability to compile information from multiple kiosks for reporting.
Yeah, it will put them all together essentially on a single database, single network.
The next question asks, can the unit run completely standalone without network connectivity?
Yes, it can.
Next question asks if the kiosk could integrate with Mercury-based access systems.
I believe so. Again, we've got the relays, connectors, and then on the hardware side, on the software side, we're building out the APIs to tie into lots of different security systems, software systems, time and attendance, payroll, HR, etc.
The next question asks, can I remotely monitor from a PC?
With M0 Manage, you certainly can, yes.
Next question asks, how many employees can this scan in a minute?
Do my math real quick here. about 20.
Next question.
Yep.
Like 3 seconds each.
Yep. I'm giving it I mean, it's between 1 and 3. So obviously anywhere from 20 to 60 if everyone did it super quick, but I would say 20 to 30 is probably about right.
Next question asks, when will the Windows-based device be released? And what is the price difference for the Windows versus Android?
It'll be a little bit more expensive. We're aiming it to be as close as we can to this. And it's a great question. A lot of people asking that. We are working with Intel on this, and lots of interest, obviously, for this device, as it will have some additional features and additional expandability planned for the Windows device. We're hoping, and Paul, you can chime in. I hate to put you guys on the spot. The software teams are working around the clock on this, but sometime in June, July timeframe, are we thinking?
Yeah, the end of June is our target release for the first version of Windows, but again, that's to be finalized, so that's just an assumed end date for the first version. So.
Yeah, and we did add additional resources today on that as well. So we're adding resources as we can, expanding our team as we can, both on the production side, the software side, and the engineering side. So hopefully, again, sometime in June.
The next question asks, what is the base configuration?
I assume this the standard. We have one SKU right now that we're shipping. Again, the demand has been such that we wanted to keep it as simple as possible for our production line. So it's the freestanding unit with the aluminum and steel base plate. That's what's shipping right now. The countertop is done, is ready. We're actually just waiting on all the packaging for that. So that will be closely behind it. And then obviously the wall mount version as well, same thing. Everything's ready. We're just kind of keeping it to one SKU. If we do have any clients that want, reasonable quantities of those, I'm sure it's something that could be quoted in the next few days, early next week, and we'll be shipping in about 4 weeks or so.
The next question asks, does facial recognition work if employees have a mask on?
It does. So obviously you would do the registration without the mask on, but with the mask on, it actually works surprisingly well, because obviously a lot of facial recognition, like most phones, will not work with a mask on. It is not as accurate as without a mask, but we have about 80 people at our Aberdeen location where I'm based, and everyone in the morning does their facial recognition with a mask, and it picks up everyone correctly. I think actually, Paul, you had an instance, and Paul's in our Mississauga office, where it recognized him as one of our employees down here with a mask on. So it's not perfect, a lot more accurate than we thought it would be, quite honestly, with our initial testing, but it does work, yes.
Next question asks, can this be tied into a time clock system?
Yeah, so with the, it's probably the #1 question right now, and that's very, very high up the list for initial integration. So with the APIs that we're developing, that shouldn't be a very complicated process. So we should be able to get that implemented pretty quickly. We're working with some of the larger payroll companies, time and attendance companies, and I believe their developers are really waiting for our API so they can do that integration.
The next question asks, what do you have to do to order one of these?
Well, they're available in lots of different places, but you can reach out to either one of our representatives through the website. We are overwhelmed, as you can imagine. We've got literally thousands and thousands of people contacting us. Even our resellers, customers coming to us with questions. We're happy to answer them, obviously, as quick as we can. We are building out a whole knowledge base. We've already built out the product page with lots of videos, spec sheets, downloads, obviously links to the webinars, because we're trying to get as many people information as quickly as we can. But they are available in a lot of different places. A lot of resellers already have them. A lot of distributors already have them, and we're kind of going through the motions of potentially listing all of those on the site. But obviously, you could call us and we'll point you in the right direction.
Next question asks, is M0 Manage available today? If not, when will it be available?
Yeah, M0 Manage itself is available, and that's been something that we've had available for, well, ever since the acquisition. For this device, the date is the 29th of this month is what we're shooting for. Hopefully we can stick to that. But that's the date that the portal for this device will be available. Anyone that has M0 Manage, a lot of customers already have it, they'll be able to use the normal full-blown M0 Manage to manage these devices as well.
Next question asks, what is the recommended protocol for cleaning and disinfecting the kiosk?
Another good question is actually a best practices on the website, which really applies to this, even though this is non-touch. So you're not as concerned about the glass because there's no touch on there, no coatings on there, but there's a best practices form on the product page. I think, Melissa, is it on the product page as well?
I will add it to the product page. I just made a note of that.
It may be under resources on our site, but your normal cleaning products will work fine on this one, but there are specifics on that document on our website.
Next question asks, do you need any kind of reference body to calibrate the unit?
Yeah, so, well, no, we do all that for you before it leaves, and for 95% of deployments or 100% of deployments in a controlled environment where the temperature is not fluctuating, you should be fine. We do have sensors available for doing that, or calibration tools available for doing that. We have not set the price on that. We're trying to get these in as quickly as we can. We obviously have them for calibrating units and testing units, but it is a device that's readily available for calibrating thermal sensors.
Next question asks, can the device be used without recording information, just for taking temperatures?
It will be, and Paul, that'll be one of the first things I think we add right to the next release of the Android software. I know we're working on several different versions, but yeah, that'll be, currently it records everything. So that will be something that you can toggle off soon. Is there anything, Paul, that you can turn off now, or does it essentially log everything that happens?
Yeah, if you're logging guests, then it needs to log everything. But if you're only logging access to employees, then it would just log employee access, but deny entry to guests. But if you want to scan everyone, you need to have that on. Yeah. We'll change that soon.
Yeah.
Next question asks, when the countertop version will be available?
As I mentioned, it is available. We've just been keeping it to the one SKU, so we'll get that SKU'd up for our resellers either tomorrow or Monday, and that will be available. So the biggest delay has been on our packaging suppliers for that one. Again, just because the inbound orders has been pretty staggering, so we've kept to the one SKU. But I would say that will be available to order tomorrow or Monday, and from then on.
Next question asks, would other people around the person being scanned know if they are over temperature or not?
Yeah, so, well, if you have the alarm on, anyone around will know someone that has a fever, so that can be turned off, and you do get a red light flash as opposed to a green light flash on the screen. So even with that turned off, it is possible if someone is standing close, arguably too close, they could see that. So yes, it would be visible from someone standing close to the person.
Next question asks, who is the OEM for the thermal camera?
That is the German company, and Paul, what's the?
I think.
Yeah, the spec is going to be on the
think Chris just got cut off. I believe it's a Hyman camera.
Yes. Thanks,
Yeah.
Dom. I was looking that up and someone came in my office, so I muted real quick. So yeah, and that information we will post on our page. But it's a company we've worked with on a few different projects. Obviously been in this space a long, long time, out of Germany. And how was it pronounced, Dom?
Hyman.
Hyman, yeah. Thank you.
Next question asks if we are working to get this device FDA 510 certified.
No, so actually we're working with FDA on a few other projects. This is not a medical device. We're not intending it to be so. In fact, it's labeled on the unit that this is not a medical device. We are working with them, like I say, on some other projects and have had the conversations. We are getting it UL certified. It's currently CE and FCC certified, but we don't have plans to do FDA at this point.
Next question asks if it is possible to upload existing photos rather than having to take each employee's photo at the kiosk.
Currently, as a standalone unit, you have to do it at the kiosk. I believe, Paul, is that something you could take a file with photos and do it, or is it something that needs to be done at the kiosk?
Yeah, you have to do it at the kiosk. So.
Next question asks, how is the data collected on the application protected?
Paul, you want to take that one?
Sure. So the image and information and the scan is stored internally in the ROM, and that's password protected. And you wouldn't be able to access that information unless you had the administrator access to the app itself and went in and viewed the data with the administrator password. If you have M0 manage and central management and logging, that's securely transferred. Data in transit is encrypted, and data at rest is encrypted in the M0 manage portal.
Next question asks, is there support service with the subscription?
Yeah, there's access to our help desk, which is help at meridiankiosks.com for subscribers, and we'll be able to support your questions or concerns through that channel. Gives you a dashboard as well, so you can manage your tickets.
Next question asks, does the kiosk take a picture of those who scan with high temperatures?
It does, yes.
Currently, yes, that is something that we've been asked again to be able to toggle those features on and off, which will be in a future release, but currently, yes, it does.
Next question asks, can you have a screen copy of this displayed to an adjacently placed monitor so security or a receptionist can monitor if a person passes or fails?
Manage will have a scrolling output, so you'd be able to see the scans as they come in. So you have to log into the web portal, but you'd be able to see the changes or entries as they occur.
The next question asks if the kiosk has the ability to ask health screening questions.
This is a non-touch screen, so there's no ability to add questions or anything to this, but we are definitely looking at for the Windows solution. It'll have more customizability and more features such as that one. So that's a frequently asked one, so it will most likely have that functionality.
The next question asks, does the $295 annual subscription for M0 Manage include the cloud-based infrastructure costs?
Yes, it does. So you'll get a login to, if you have 1 unit or 1,000 units or 10,000 units, you get a login. And Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, you can set up multiple users in there with different permissions. So if you want someone that cannot read certain parts of that or send jobs out to the units, you can do that. And so yes, it's all included.
Next question says, can we set the system to delete the data at a certain frequency?
Currently, it delete. Well, once it fills up the 1 gig, which is obviously a lot of data, it rolls the old data off and replaces it obviously with the updated. That's not a feature currently in M0 Manage. That's something that you could do. You can go manually delete it off the unit, and that may be something, Paul. I guess M0 Manage you could set it to keep wiping the unit if wanted. I assume.
Yeah, so one of our roadmap items is a delete button that deletes the entry data on demand. So you would be able to, as an operator, delete it routinely. And further down the roadmap, we're going to put time-based delete. So we'll allow you to customize how long information is retained. But those are upcoming release. We'll publish information when those become available.
Next question asks, how does the freestanding unit work with individuals in a wheelchair?
It works well. It pivots, so the screen actually will pivot up and down. And we made the standard height of the stand itself shorter to accommodate a much broader range from someone in a wheelchair, I think, to 6'5". Seems to be pretty comfortable. Obviously, people taller can crouch down a little bit. And then we are being asked to make even smaller stands for children, which obviously we can do. It's not a skewed up item yet, but right now it seems like it will go anywhere from someone in a wheelchair to 6'5".
Next question asks if the kiosk will be able to integrate with badge systems.
Yes, so there is an optional contactless reader for this, and then obviously we're looking to tie it into more systems and devices in the future, but that is something that's available. And Paul, what technology reader do we have available in this device?
It's MyFair technology.
Okay.
And I believe there's an FAQ on the website if you want the exact ISO protocol for those MyFair cards.
Okay.
Next question asks how long the alarm sounds for.
I don't know exactly. Does anybody know? It's a few seconds. It's not for too long. But if the person continues to stand in front, it will scan them again and then sound the alarm again. So, and again, that can be turned off, and the volume of that can be turned down as well.
Next question asks, where on the face is the temperature taken from?
It's taken an average, I believe, of that surface area, which seems to be giving us the most accurate readings when we compare this, or have compared this to, obviously, medical devices and different thermometers. We do have these deployed in hospitals. One of the earlier deployments for us was, in fact, the first deployment for us was in a hospital, and part of that was obviously for them to get their feedback, and obviously they're using this as an entry and exit scan, and actually they're even a reference for us. They also want more units, so that was our first protocol, was with hospitals with this.
Next question is, can you set up the device to not collect any data at all? Simply have it read and delete each record at the time of screening.
So Paul, if you have facial recognition off and guest mode, does it still record currently?
Yeah, it will record any entry records.
So it will grab the temperature and a photo. That is something that, again, we've been asked to change. So we are going to have a toggle that you can just turn all data collection off, and it would just simply act as a temperature device.
Next question asks, is the device able to notify another device when someone's temperature is high?
Yeah, well, right now it can notify through the relay, lights, gates, locks, well, anything you want to hook up to it. Essentially, it could be a little beacon light on a security guard's desk, and then with M0 Manage, you'll be able to do all that through software. So currently, you can do that through a hardware connection with one of the relays, and soon you'll be able to do that with software with the M0 Manage.
Next question asks, Are the devices on display anywhere? Where can we demo one?
Yeah, so we have a controlled environment here with a couple of units. In fact, we've had clients in this week. Obviously, it takes their temperature when they come in. There's a couple of other units in the showroom. We have a controlled environment where we can host people. Our local hospital will do the same thing. So they have an open invitation for anyone to go to the hospital, the Pinehurst Surgical Clinic, and to test it out there. In fact, our local newspaper just did that, did a nice article on it. And again, another client that wants more units as soon as we can get them to them. So there's a couple of sites that we have here, and then if you let us know through email where you are, we can see what's close to you and if you're able to visit those sites. Obviously, a lot of sites are off limits to anyone that's not working there, but we can accommodate in Aberdeen, North Carolina, Pinehurst, North Carolina.
Next question asks, have the LED strip kiosks been discontinued?
No, just paused, and the only reason we did that, so the LED supplier could not keep up with us. The initial demand was very high. The good news is we are having additional suppliers, so we can get the supply chain for those boosted. The other good news is we are tying those into the system as well, so it'll be a white light and then a green light if the person is granted access. If they're not, it doesn't turn green. Obviously, some additional function I will add in later. And the new LED too is a 360 LED, so you can view it from all sides of the kiosk, and it sits under the head unit. So I believe it is a retrofittable LED light as well. But no, not discontinued. Small change to it, and then we're just fixing the supply chain on it.
Next question asks if this can work with children. Would parents have to lift up their kids to get their temperature taken?
No, it'll take someone in a wheelchair. So for very, very small children, you certainly would, unless you have one of the shorter stands that we've been asked to produce, which we can. But the current unit, just with tilting it down, would scan most small children, no problem.
Next question asks, what is the standard delivery time once ordered?
Right now it's at 4 weeks. We are looking to bring that in, and we are working with the FDA on some things, and with our supply chain logistics companies to get the flow of materials into us faster. We can currently do about 500 units a day if everything is here. And obviously we manufacture quite a bit of this, so we control a lot of it, but not all of it. So our sensor supplier, camera supplier, etc., screen supplier. So currently we're saying 4 weeks, but again, we're looking to bring that in. And once we've got all the, caught up, we hope to have a small amount of inventory for the onesie-twosie sample orders, which is what we're seeing most of right now. And then a 4-week turnaround really on most any size order.
Next question asks, what is the benefit of connecting via Wi-Fi or LAN if it can work without an internet connection?
Well, just for the future, for connecting to M0 Manage, you would need to connect to your network through the LAN or the Wi-Fi. Obviously, you can do updates to the unit directly from the browser on the Android device if you chose. So you didn't have to use the USB, and so really just for updates or future connection into our M0 Manage suite.
Next question asks if casters are available to order as an add-on.
Not right now. That will be something that we will add. The unit's very light. It's only about 35 pounds, so not hard to move around. Obviously, with a normal dolly, you can move this around very, very easily. I've picked up a couple and moved them around for people visiting, etc. But yes, that will be an option in the future.
Next question asks how long the system takes to set up and get going from the time it is received.
Well, once you open the box carefully, it's essentially ready to plug in place. It comes with a normal 110 plug, and you put it in the outlet and it will boot up and you will be ready to take temperatures right out of the box. So literally a few minutes.
The next question asks, can people register themselves at the unit, or is an admin required?
An admin is required to do that. Obviously, an admin can register themselves, but you have to get into the application to do the registration.
The next question asks, what type of thermal sensor is used?
I think we just answered that a little while ago, the Hyman, or however you pronounce it, from Germany. And again, that'll be on the product page.
Next question asks if touch is required.
No. No, we purposely designed the first units too to have really no interaction or no touch needed. And even on the Windows-based unit, even though it will be touch, which will give it additional functionality, and we have antimicrobial coatings and films that we can put on that help with obviously the growth of bacteria, etc. We're also looking into doing some voice commands for like questions and things that pop up. You can answer yes or no. We've done quite a few voice solutions with self-service. We've done some automotive solutions utilizing voice. So Paul, I assume on the Windows one, that's something that could be brought to the forefront as that's already kind of part of our current SDK with our platform.
That's right. Yeah, we'll be looking at that closer. So using the face to determine if someone's talking to it and listening and answering questions and that. So we've built solutions like that before, and we're targeting this for the Windows solution in the near future.
Okay.
The next question asks how often the unit has to be calibrated.
If it's in a stable environment, really never. So I mean, obviously, if I don't know what would cause it to need recalibration. Normally the calibration is needed if it's in a very, very hot environment, a different environment. We've tested it from 50 degrees. I don't think Ross is on the call, but Dominic, I don't know if you know what the room, I think it was 100 plus with no calibration needed. So yeah, it would really be a case-by-case basis. Sorry, go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, I personally used it in the hot test, and it was fairly accurate.
Okay, so still within our published ranges, but again, if it's showing consistently higher with it being just a very, very hot environment, you can calibrate that down in the software.
Next question asks, if you have multiple offices or locations, can you link the information together with M0 Manage?
Yes, you will be able to, yeah. And you can group them as you want to group them. So country, state, building, floor, but they can all share the same database, and you can update it all from the same system.
Next question asks if the temperature is displayed on the screen.
It is. And that is something that we have been asked to potentially have a feature on or off. So you either get a green light or a red light. You don't necessarily know the exact temperature. So that's probably got something we're going to add to the roadmap because that's been asked by a couple of clients.
Next question asks, is there an instruction sheet to give to employees or visitors?
No, there's an instruction that comes with our instructions that come with the unit. There's actually a code on the back that uses our spout tool, which is a tool that we use for service and support on our self-service devices. It's a little QR code that's specifically for this device that you scan, and you get all of the different instructions on how to calibrate, how to set it up, all the different things you can imagine, a lot of different information about the unit, which is really designed for service and support. The unit is very, very simple to use. I don't think there's any instructions necessary. I mean, you walk up to it, it really just tells you what to do at that point. Probably a quick introduction to it. I know it's going to ship, I think, with a little card as well, kind of informational card with the code on it too. But that could be something that could be easily put together, but they literally walk up to it and the machine does the rest.
The next question asks, will wearing glasses create an issue for scanning a user's temperature?
No.
Next question asks, is there any plan to integrate with a label printer to provide a screened sticker to the employees or guest?
Yes, that is something that, again, good question. We've been asked that a lot. So that will be on the roadmap. And again, you'll be able to tie this into many different systems with M0 managed, so that could actually prompt for the decal to be printed. But I'm sure, Paul, there's something we could create in the application itself, even if it was standalone, that it could print, you know, like a scanned or approved decal or label for someone that went through and got the green light.
Sure. Yeah, you could look at that.
Next question says, if you have more than one kiosk at an entry door, do employees have to be set up in each individual kiosk, or will they be able to scan at either kiosk?
If it's on M0 managed, they only need to register at one or register, and they're on all of them. If they're standalone devices, then you do have to register on all of them. So like we have, I don't know, several different sites that we've been involved in the deployments and registered everyone at all the units and then dispersed the units out throughout the facility. Again, it's a pretty quick, easy process. But if you are using them standalone, you do need to register everyone at each unit.
Next question asks, what information is on the Excel report that you can extract with a USB?
So one of the slides kind of had a little outline of that. So you get the name, obviously if you've registered the person, you get their temperature, you get whether are they a staff member, visitor, employee, etc., and the timestamp. And I think, Paul, is that everything? Did I cover everything in the report there currently?
Yeah, the image, the temperature, the entry time, the name if it's an employee, the employee number if it's an employee is recognized. Otherwise, if it's a guest or a stranger, it won't record the name and employee number, only if it's known.
Okay, thanks.
The next question asks if the device has a liability disclaimer on the screen.
It does not now.
The next question asks if you have to upgrade the Android software.
No, it's, I mean, obviously this is developed as a, not to use as an Android device or a tablet device. It's not touch, obviously. It's been developed specifically for this use. I'm sure you can upgrade the Android OS if you wanted to, but it's certainly not needed for it to function.
Next question asks if any leasing options are available.
Yeah, a lot of our partners, resellers, distributors have leasing options. We have leasing options, so yes, absolutely.
The next question asks when the battery-only version will be available.
The battery's going through UL right now, so as soon as UL is done, they're also doing the device too. So when they're done, that battery will be available. We didn't want to sell a non-UL approved lithium battery. So as soon as that's done, we have asked for additional update, probably 3 to 4 weeks, longer or more. But once we have it, then obviously that will be something that can be retrofitted.
And that is most of our questions. We do have a couple of very similar questions asking about speaking with someone one-on-one or having a sales rep on a call with their customer. And I've tried to respond to as many of those messages as I can and say to email sales@m0.com. Other than that, that is all of our questions for the day.
Great. We actually got to all of them this time. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. Take advantage of the 5 minutes left. I know I will. And please stay safe, everyone. Again, if you have any questions, just hit us up on our form on the site. We'll get to as many as we can, as quickly as we can. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Meridian team.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.